Senate Bill 1557. Staff will explain the bill, and then we have the sponsor of the bill with us today.
Mr. Chair and members, Senate Bill 1557 requires the State Board of Education, when next updating the high school social studies standards, to include the history and contributions of Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders in the United States and in Arizona. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? Sponsor of the bill, please address us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you for hearing the bill. I think staff explained it pretty well. I also want to thank my co-sponsors on the bill, including Senator Kavanaugh, who is in our Senate, and then in the House, Representative Pollack, who really has spearheaded a lot of this effort. And I will leave it at that and turn it over to a number of stakeholders who have come in support, including my own constituents all the way from Tucson. So I'll let them speak to the importance of this.
Okay. Any questions of the sponsor before we go to testifiers? From what we can tell, everyone who's wanting to speak is in support of the bill, but we're going to have to limit it a little bit. We want to respect those that have driven long distances, so we'll call some names, but is there anyone from out of town who's come to testify for this bill? Let's start with the lady over here.
And then just please state your name.
Yes.
Chairman Bennett and distinguished members of the Senate Education Committee, my name's Yvonne and I'm from Tucson. I'm a mom of 3 elementary age boys who are joining me here to testify in front of you.
What are their names?
What's your name?
I'm Jasper.
Hi, Jasper.
I'm Miles.
Miles?
Yeah.
So SB 1557 is deeply personal to me. It's an acknowledgement of my history, of where I came from, and my great-grandfather's sacrifice to build a new life in a foreign land. It's also hope for a future where my boys, these boys who are standing with me, see themselves reflected in the classroom material. We have a chance to make Arizona history today. This is not a partisan issue. This is a well-thought-out, long-term plan to teach accurate American history. In this bill, we're building in time to create and collect these lesson plans and to train teachers to not only find places in the curriculum to integrate these stories, but to feel empowered to teach the material. The past and the present are indivisible. Let our classrooms reflect this fact with liberty and justice for all.
Chairman Bennett and members of the Senate Education Committee, my name is Jasper Chen. I'm a 5th grader at Sunrise Drive Elementary School in Tucson. A few months ago, I got to work with the Vale Preservation Society to make a video about the Chinese water boys who helped on the Southern Pacific Railroad. I visited the location where the railroad was built, and I carried water along the tracks, just as Tom Loy, a Chinese water boy, had done over 150 years ago. It was a hard job, and I appreciate the work Tom Loy did to help his community, and I want to learn more about all the different people who helped build our great state. Chairman Bennett, please vote yes to pass 1557.
Thank you, Jasper.
Chairman Bennett and members of the Senate Education Committee, my name is Miles Chen. I am a 2nd grader at Sunrise Drive Elementary School in Tucson. Big shout out to all the teachers that are watching us. Hi, Sunrise. I'm very proud to be Chinese American. I want my friends to learn about Asian Americans. I want them to know of how we help build America. Please pass SB 1557.
Thank you, Miles. How old are you, Miles?
8.
8, okay. Any questions of the Yvonne, Jasper, or Miles? Thank you very much for coming today. We'll allow that outburst at that time. Any others to testify, Madam Vice Chair?
Jinhui Chen. And then what's next?
Chairman Bennett and members of committee. My name is Jinhui Chen, and it's a great honor for me to share my support of SB1557. Politically and historically, Asian Americans do not have the radical tradition to speak out and stand up to fight for their rights, even though they pay their taxes, make contributions to the state and the nation by any means, such as creating jobs, providing services, etc. This trend is now gradually changing when they realize they are Americans too. They want to be part of the future development, and they guide Americans in the right direction, not the wrong direction. That will suffer them again. Historically, Asian Americans left their motherlands for America, mostly because of wars, poverty, governmental corruption, and exploitation. They risked their lives across the Pacific Ocean, and many died on their way before they reached the east coast of the Pacific. They helped build America to be what it is today, such as railroads, farming, and many other dangerous works. This suffering on their journey and many other sufferings thereafter are mostly not in the mainstream historical records books. They don't ask for reparations. They want to be part of the greatest country on the earth, like any other Americans. Their history should not be forgotten and should be learned to remind future generations of their contributions. That's how this country has been built upon. When cancel culture has tried
Please
to
conclude,
remove parts,
sir.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
When cancel culture has tried to remove parts of history from American history, Asian Americans want to be included in American history as a whole body. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else from out of town who has come to testify and requested to speak? Okay. Anyone from local? Yes, ma'am. Please give us your name, if you would, please.
Tonya Norwood,
Hi, Tonya.
Senator Bennett, senators. I come.
Tonya, your voice is very low. Please pull the microphone right close to you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. I come in support of this bill. I believe, as an African American, I stand wanting to make sure not only my history is learned throughout the educational systems, but all history. I feel that this is not only a step up, but it's a step in the right direction for not only just one community, but for all communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tonya. Anyone else requested to speak? Yes, let's have the two of you come, please.
Chairman Bennett and distinguished members of the Senate Education Committee, first, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Colleen Coons, and I'm a Rotarian and president-elect for the Mesa West Rotary Club, a global service organization with over 1.4 million members. And some of the areas that we serve are promoting peace, fighting disease, supporting education, and growing local economies. I'm also the district chair for our Rotoract clubs, which are clubs that are major universities here in Arizona and in our communities, as well as community-based Rotoract clubs. Rotoractors are young adults 18 and up. I'm also a retired director from UPS, a global supply chain organization, which embraced diversity and inclusion when I began my career in 1992. I am also a U.S. Army veteran who served in Fort Hood, Texas, as well as Frankfurt, Germany. And most importantly, I am a mother of two boys whom are educated in the Arizona school system and both highly productive young adults today. I'm here to advocate for the passage of Senate Bill 1557. As a Korean American growing up in an all-Caucasian neighborhood, in my school and my neighborhood, I remember being the only person that looked like me back in the 70s. I can imagine what my future self would look like if SB 1557 were in place. Fast forward today.
10 seconds.
AAPI is the fastest growing minority population. Education creates a sense of belonging to the community. Excitingly, you all approved TSMC is moving to Arizona. And I question, how are Asian employees of TSMC, how will they integrate into our Arizona society today? SB 1557 will help. The high school experience of education is so important to our youth as it leads to the building blocks of a strong, healthy community. SB 1557 supports diversity and inclusion by educating everyone that people with diverse backgrounds can contribute to society and did, in fact, help positively advance our nation and can continue to do so. Thank you, Chairman Bennett and distinguished members of our Senate.
Thank you for coming today. Our last testifier, please. And Senator Sundareshan, if you'd be ready to answer some questions from the committee, please.
Dear Mr. Chairman and committee members, thank you for hearing the bill today. My name is Kaiya Lu. I am an intern at OCA Greater Phoenix. I am also a junior at Hamilton High School, the largest high school in the state, located in Chandler, the largest growing Asian population sector in Arizona. Although it is the year 2023, Asian Americans are viewed as recent immigrants rather than American citizens. Students have briefly learned about Japanese internment camps at school in their junior year, but not many history classes go in depth about other Asian American history topics like the Chinese railroad workers or the Chinese Exclusion Act. Many people do not see Asian Americans as a critical component in our history, so they continue to treat us as if we are perpetual foreigners. Most of the discrimination is unintentional and stems from ignorance due to the lack of Asian American and Pacific Islander representation in our current curriculum. It is important to pass this bill in order to educate the next generation of the historic contributions made by Asian Americans and the significance they have had to help strengthen our country. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Was it Kylie?
Kaiya.
Kaiya. Thank
Kaiya
you.
Lu.
Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
And Tonya, we don't have a slip filled out for you. If you would do one before you leave for our records. Okay, Senator Sundareshan, could you address a few questions from the committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Does that work? Okay, good.
Yes.
Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, thank you so much for coming back up. I did just have a couple of questions on this bill. So I'm just trying to understand, I don't see any other ethnic groups in this part of statute. And so my question was, is there something in the existing language that would prohibit the teaching of the history and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the U.S.? So if you could clarify that for me, please.
Senator Sundareshan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Kerr, thank you for the question. It's my understanding that nothing prohibits the teaching of the history particular to Asian Americans in Arizona, but it's also my understanding that the group who has been advocating for this bill has tried to work with Department of Education to include that history and has not yet met with success. And so this is an effort to ensure that the contributions of Asian Americans are included. I'm happy to discuss alternate ways because I absolutely don't want to imply that there's any prohibition in current statute as it exists right now.
Thank you. I do have a couple follow-ups
Senator Kerr?
as well. And of course, I want to express my support. I always, because of my Mexican heritage, I really support all of our cultures and, the contributions and the sacrifices that so many have made, because my mother was from Mexico and I understand exactly what that is. And so is there an area in statute that does identify all of the different ethnic groups. And what I'm getting at is, are we going to then start having to put each and every individual ethnic group in statute if we apply this, your bill and the history and contributions of Asian Americans? Then does that start the ball rolling, and we need to make sure, you know, we include every single one? Mr. Chair, Senator.
Senator Sundareshan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Kerr, I think that's a really great question. I would have to check with staff to absolutely determine whether or not there is an existing area of statute that does individually list out each group, and I certainly do not want that to be the case, because I think what we want is a statute that allows for the history of every single group that has contributed to the history of Arizona to be recognized, and to allow that freedom for the the educators to be able to determine that. I don't want us to have to go down that path of that kind of individual listing out of every group, certainly. And I think that this particular bill is a response to the lack of inclusion of the Asian American contributions so far, and especially in a time where these last few years have really brought to the fore the rise in hate crimes to Asian Americans in particular. And so yeah, I want to make sure that we do not have to go down that path.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One final comment, maybe,
Senator?
and certainly feel free, Senator, to respond. One of the testifiers today, I loved, how she mentioned, liberty and justice, for all, and that's really important for me too. I want everyone, to be able to have their part in history taught and appreciated and understood. And so, I'll be honest, I'm conflicted because I do see that we will then have to be so very careful that we then list each one. And again, such a strong supporter of our Asian community, have many, many friends and love them all, as I am, for all of our various communities. So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't prohibitive language, and I would like to know if there is an area that has a current list available. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and I will make sure that we clear that up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Sundareshan, I would associate my remarks with Senator Kerr and say that, as we've discussed privately, it's hard to envision how to do this and make sure that these groups are included without starting to say all significant groups, including A through wherever.
Right.
But I think these are two worthy groups. If the bill moves beyond the committee level, I'll probably want to see that we word it a little different way, or make sure that we include more than just these two.
Understood. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Mr. Chair, can I?
Senator Marsh.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator. Do you think that, this is kind of a leading question, but I think that your answer would potentially maybe help Senator Kerr. I know that this isn't the reason that the bill was crafted, but do you think that this bill could really potentially help with the Taiwan semiconductor plant that is currently going up in the North Valley, and where there is just such this partnership between Taiwan and the city of Phoenix to get this up and rolling? I mean, do you see that playing out in a positive way in that realm?
Senator Sundareshan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Marsh. I think the answer is potentially yes, as one of our speakers did allude to, that it might be a demonstration of that goodwill and commitment towards getting that up and running.
And one more question, Mr.
Please.
Chair. I appreciate that you are deferring the requirement until the State Board of Education next updates the social studies standards, and just wondering if that was intentional or accidental, because I think that that's actually a key provision, that the State Board will be looking at this at a time when they're already going to be updating the standards. So was that like an intentional choice on your part?
Yes, and I know that was, in working with my colleague, Representative Pollack, that was a key part of ensuring that this is not imposing any new requirements outside of the regular timeline that the State Board would be taking.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Will you please move the bill, Madam Vice Chair?
I move SB1557 with a due pass recommendation.
Is there any further discussion? Will the Secretary please call the roll? Tracy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you. As many of you have heard me time and time again, I think it's very important to include all the history and the correct history of the Americas, of the United States in our classrooms, so that everybody feels included in our history, in our schools, in our places of work. I think it's important. We work with each other. We go to school with each other. I think it's very important to continue doing teaching of the history of all peoples and all contributions that have been made to this wonderful country and state. And so I vote aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, if I might explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I feel like I'm so loud. My apologies. Usually I'm not. So I appreciate very much the sponsor's intent and what she's wanting to accomplish with the bill. And I still feel very conflicted because I think it's going to open up that pathway where we're going to then have to be extremely careful that we make sure that we include each and every ethnic group and background, and as we should. I feel like the current language allows that, and I think now we're going to head in a different direction. So I'm going to wait and see what answers I can get on the other points, and I'm willing to go ahead and support the bill today. I'm not sure that I'll support it going forward, but I want to thank the sponsor again. So I vote aye.
Senator Marsh?
Aye.
Senator Miranda?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Yes, I think this is a good bill. I think this is setting the precedence to looking at other histories of ethnic groups that are missing. So it sounds like there's hope that now we're including this in standards, and it sounds like maybe we can review, like I said, other histories and ethnic groups. So I'm with Kerr. I'm with Senator Kerr that all need to be included. And thank you for setting the precedence now to include other ethnic groups. So with that, I vote aye.
May I explain my vote?
Please proceed.
My only issue here is that race should not be a portion of our education. I think we need to start looking at world history and teaching, how the Asian Americans had their portion of our world history, as did the Germans, the Irish, the English. We need to teach world history as everybody who was involved in our world history, but we're also not teaching our Native American history. We're not teaching about Israeli history or Greek history. If we open this door, we are going to have to now write laws that will require a new curriculum that's going to have to go deep dive into every single race that is taught in school. And I just also, where does the curriculum come from? who's going to write it, who's going to approve it. That's not anywhere in the bill. I also don't understand how this feels like a virtue signal in a strange way, with the semiconductor being tied to let's build an education curriculum for those who will be coming here to live or to attend school. But again, I wish that we could start looking at everybody's race and looking at it more of a world history, American history. And there's just not enough being taught about Native American history. I mean, if we really want to go with what needs to be taught, that really needs to be taught. So with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to vote nay.
Aye. By your vote of 6 ayes and 1 nay, and 1 not voting? No, 0 not voting, yeah. You've returned Senate Bill 1557 with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Senator.